Here on your Thursday morning. Good morning. Welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Channing Curtis. Thanks so much for starting off your day with us here on Up with KREM. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast, though, with meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Thomas, what does the weather have in store for us today?
Yeah, good morning to both of you and everybody at home. This morning, a bit of light rain between Spokane and Spokane Valley. I just took a peek from our outdoor weather center. A few spots of rain at the moment. All of it's very light. It just feels like sprinkles here at our South Hill studios. A little bit more of a light rain shower directly over Liberty Lake and approaching Post Falls. This little band of moisture is just ever drifting eastward, so it is moving generally towards Coeur d'Alene and towards St. Mary's. But do notice that there is a bit of white and blue Doppler radar indicating some snowfall, especially at the higher elevations of Spokane County and into the Palouse. Most of Whitman County seeing some snow as it is starting to pick up a little bit. Probably not sticking just yet, but if this activity continues for a few more hours, we very well could be seeing our first snowfall actually stick to the ground in quite some time.
A new 300-page report by the Department of Natural Resources gives a better idea of what sparked that devastating gray fire in Medical Lake more than 6 months ago.
Investigators found Inland Power is responsible for starting the fire that burned more than 11,000 acres and killed one person. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy read through the report and is breaking down the findings.
This summary of a 300-page DNR report shows wildland fire investigators knew within hours of the gray fire sparking it was likely because of faulty equipment owned by Inland Power and Light. A senior wildland fire investigator sums it up. Inland Power was responsible for this fire. DNR's investigation found the gray fire was caused by sparks from a security light traveling onto dry grass. It's unsurprising, but welcome news for attorneys John Allison and Gerald Singleton.
They're independent, they're objective, they don't have skin in the game other than to find the truth.
Obviously, we think very important that they agreed with our theory of the case.
In two separate lawsuits brought by hundreds of fire victims, investigators also pointed at faulty Inland Power and Light equipment as the fire's cause. DNR's report details how a state investigator discovered the fire's origin at 12605 Gray Road, across from the Inland Light pole that showed signs of melting or burning. A V-shaped burn pattern shown here on photos from the scene also pointed the investigator to the fire's starting point. At least 2 witnesses reported seeing sparks coming from this pole after the fire started. But the report also shows there were concerns about the light months before the blaze.
Looks like they made a mistake, and it looks like their lines were what caused this. And so they're going to have to make it right.
One witness says she called Inland Power to report the light flickering from a possible loose wire. As far as she knew, Inland Power never followed up. DNR investigators took 2 pieces of the pole for evidence, but they didn't look like they fit together. It appeared there might be something missing to make these connections. Inland Power's attorney told investigators a crew that disconnected power shortly after the fire started brought 3 pieces back to the Spokane office. These 3 pieces were reviewed by a DNR investigator, and the attorney for Inland agreed the company would hold on to them as evidence after sending them to a California lab. However, DNR's investigator writes, when he went to pick up the evidence October 9th, 1 piece was missing. The lab reported an aluminum conductor with cut marks and melted aluminum wasn't sent, and Inland's attorney said he didn't know where that missing piece was. While the report may strengthen their cases, Singleton and Allison say the legal battle to reclaim uninsured losses isn't over.
I talked to one elderly woman who couldn't get insurance, and the fire took everything she had. I mean, she was left with the clothes on her back, and it's just heartbreaking.
They are still interviewing witnesses and compiling reports, preparing to possibly bring the cases to a jury.
We're trying to make the homeowners whole. In many ways, they'll never be able to accomplish that because of all they've been through, but we're doing the best we can.
Both attorneys believe these lawsuits could go to jury trial by next year if Inland Power doesn't settle first. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Less than 24 hours after the report's release, the attorneys behind the largest lawsuit to date held a town hall for those impacted by the Great Fire.
A trial date is now set for November of 2025, but attorneys on the case think Inland Power might settle to avoid that trial. Fire victims could receive economic damages, recovering anything that wasn't covered by insurance. Settlements could also include money for emotional damages as well.
And Dunk, hopefully it'll expedite the litigation, but it's still a big case. It's still going to take some time. At this point forward, our objective is to make you whole to the best of our ability.
One attorney says insurance companies will also go after Inland Power to recoup money that they paid fire victims.
KREM 2's Whitney Ward asked DNR about these wildfire investigations at the state level and how they are able to figure out that exact point of origin.
How do investigators go in and start finding that point of origin in a fire that moved this quickly and this far?
So typically, we attempt to dispatch fire investigators to a fire on the same day as ignition. We do that to protect the origin, looking for ignition causes, and beginning to identify people who may have information about the ignition source or have possibly been a witness.
What do you look for if you suspect that it was maybe a power pole or a utility line? What are the hallmarks there?
That's a great question.
Answer to that question, plus why these investigations are so important when it comes to determining legal liability. Join us for the rest of the interview in our next half hour. That's coming up at 6:33.
Now, at the same time that the Gray Fire started, the Oregon Road Fire also burned in the Elk Chattaroy area. A DNR investigation into that fire was completed just a few weeks ago. According to DNR, based on witness statements, the wildland fire investigation determined the cause of the fire to be, quote, most likely human, spontaneous combustion, source unknown, confirming what fire investigators said in September, that the Oregon fire was human caused. However, that does not mean that the fire was intentionally set. The Spokane County Medical Examiner has identified the man shot and killed by Spokane County Sheriff's deputies last week. Deputies say 55-year-old Richard Rogasart threatened to kill his neighbor last week. When deputies arrived there, Rogasart allegedly swung an axe at them. A deputy then shot and killed him. The deputies involved have been placed on administrative leave. An independent investigation is now underway.
It's now 6:08. Let's take a look at your morning rush. More news in less time. Well, this is pretty cool. A Washington FedEx carrier will play a key part in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas this weekend. Zach Borland will actually deliver the game ball to the field.
They're going to be delivering the game day ball. I was like, really? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I was super excited.
Can you imagine getting that call? Well, he was chosen after his customers left him glowing reviews. Borland will deliver the ball during the pre-game ceremony, so keep an eye out for him this Sunday. A new music venue is breathing life back into the former Lucky You Lounge on West Sunset Boulevard. The Chameleon will open its doors next month. The club's opening weekend will start on Friday, March 1st, with a big lineup featuring several artists. A Washington zoo says an Alaska Airlines flight attendant helped save six flamingo eggs during a flight from Atlanta to Seattle. In August, the zoo was flying the eggs out in a portable incubator. It stopped functioning during the trip. Flight attendant Amber May jumped into action, filling rubber gloves with warm water to keep the eggs warm and alive. Thankfully, those eggs made it safe and sound. That is a look at your morning rush.
Well, check this out on Doppler radar. Just in the past couple minutes, I've been watching the precipitation on the Palouse near Pullman and Moscow, and Doppler radar, as of its last frame, just switched things over from snow to now rain. What you need to know about this is that Doppler radar does have to estimate what precipitation type is falling. Obviously, it doesn't know. It just gets the radar returns back like echoes. But in this case, it's kind of in that unknown territory. It's between snow and rain because our temperatures are at 33 degrees and there's likely a mix of both in the atmosphere. So realize that if precipitation is falling, if it's snow, it's probably not sticking because those temperatures are just above the freezing mark. 34 in Pullman, though 32 in Moscow right now. And it has been rainfall between Spokane Valley, and Coeur d'Alene so far because those temperatures are just a couple degrees warmer.